Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Justin, Sales Executive from Umbra Health Marketing. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. Today, we have invited Jinkang Pharma from China to be our speaker. They will introduce Magnafolate, a calcium L-methylfolate, which is a result of more than 10 years of hard work. Jinkang Pharma is a leader and top manufacturers for L-methylfolate. So please feel free to type in any question you have at the chat box, and we'll answer your question after the presentation. So without further ado, I would like to invite
Recording in progress
from Jinkang Pharma to begin with today's webinar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending our webinar. My name is Lily, and I'm from the Jinkang Pharmaceutical. I'm responsible for the global sales of Magnafolate. I'm really so excited to take this chance to share more regarding our products. Okay, so let's start the webinar. Okay, so Magnafolate is the purest L-methylfolate under plants. Maybe you will be curious, what is the Magnafolate? So I'd love to introduce you what is Magnafolate and more background information such as the NDI patents and which kind of study we have already done and the regulatory status. Magnafolate is the kind of patented C crystalline L-5-Methyltetrahydrofolate calcium salt. And we studied NDI for the Magnafolate in 2007. In the 2012, we spent 5 years and successfully developed a novel, stable C crystalline L-methylfolate calcium salt. And by making it into the C crystalline, we solved the stability problem of the natural folate smoothly. In next 2 years, we applied the patents worldwide. Until today, we have already applied around 61 patents. From 2014 to 2015, we finished the 3 grad jobs. The first that we studied the study for the Magnafolate and folic acid in the birth defect. And we already finished the safety study in rats. And it's proved that the Magnafolate is practically non-toxic. And the max tolerance dosage is higher than 50 gram per kilogram. Also, we studied the stability at the second zone. From 2016 to 2019, we finished the NDI register in the US FDA, and the NDI number is 920. Also, we have already got the GRAS self-confirmed in 2016. And also, we finished the bioavailability study compared to another 2 kinds of competitive product in the market. And during these 3 years, we also studied the stability study at the first zone. This year, we finished 2 great jobs. The first one that we have already finished the study between the Magnafolate and the folic acid in birth defect. It's a very important study, and during this study, it will disclose that a big harm of the folic acid in one kind of birth defect. I will share more information regarding this point in next presentation. Also, from last month, we studied another important job that we will go to do the study, the bioavailability study between the Magnafolate and the folic acid in human. Well, I'd like to show that the folate pathway regarding the folic acid and the dietary folate in our body. Both the folic acid and the dietary folates need 4 steps and then transfer to the L-5-Methylfolate. While Magnafolate is the same structure as methylfolate, is the same folate form in our soup. So both the folic acid and the food folate are not the biologically active and need to be converted to the metabolically active methylfolate through 4 steps. Magnafolate is the biological active folate. This is the difference with the folic acid and the dietary folate. Maybe you'll be interested to know what's the exact difference between the Magnafolate and the folic acid. Why Magnafolate is better than the folic acid. You can have a look at the left picture. Folic acid need 4 steps, and there are 2 important reductases during this transfer. While Magnafolate can be absorbed by our body directly, and it not need any metabolism. Secondly, Magnafolate is effective to the MTHF gene mutation. During the pathway of the folate, there is very important reductase called MTHF from the folic acid converted to the L-5-Methylfolate. But higher, more than 30%, the global population has a genetic mutation for the MTHF, especially at the point of C677T. If a guy is with the bad gene MTHF, then it will prevent the body from properly producing bioactive ready to us. It means that the body who is suffering from the MTHF mutation, they cannot absorb the folic acid enough. At the point of C677T, there are 3 kinds of gene. The CC is the normal, and the CT is the middle risk, and the TT is the highest risk. For the CT gene, the function will lose around 40%. And if the gene is TT, then the function will lose around 70%. While magnafolate can directly absorbed by our body, and during the pathway, it doesn't need the MTHF gene, so magnafolate can be effective to the MTHF mutation. So, what might impact from the MTHF mutation? Here's the data from the public reports. You can find that if the lady is MTHF mutation, the children will be 4 times higher with the NTDS defect. And for the cleft lip and palate, it would be around 1.7 times higher. And for the Down syndrome, it would be 1.47 times higher. And for the CHD defect, it would be 2.5 times. So we would strongly encourage all the bodies who are the MTHF mutation need to use the magnafolate as the folate source instead of the folic acid. Magnafolate is a safer alternative to the folic acid. You can find that in the pathway, folic acid need another important reductase. It's called DHFR. But for this reductase, it can only metabolize about 200 microgram folic acid per day. If we intake higher than the 200 microgram, then there will be unmetabolized folic acid in our body. The consumption of the high dosage of folic acid will result in unreduced folic acid, and the unreduced folic acid will enhance our the DHFR and reduce our ability to metabolize the natural folate through diet, and also disrupt our normal folate metabolism. Therefore, daily 200 microgram folic acid is disrupting our normal folate metabolism. While magnafolate will not, because magnafolate will not, it can be directly absorbed by our body. So we hope to introduce more regarding the harm of the reduced folic acid. Here's a report that the unmetabolism folic acid was detected in almost all the serum samples of American children and adults, in cord blood of the newborn and serum of even the 4-day-old infants, in the breast milk of the Canada women, even who don't take the supplements containing folic acid. Because there are around 60 countries all over the world already add the folic acid in the flow. So many people are intake high dosage of the folic acid. Here's some open research that unmetabolized folic acid is related autism and pregnancy, including the hypertension, gestational diabetes, mellitus, and also it will increase those 4 kinds of disease. undisclosed that actually in the first presentation, I shared that Jinkang spent 7 years to do an important study. It's between the magnafolate and the folic acid in the birth defect. And we find that the unmetabolized folic acid is an independent risk for one kind of birth defects, which this kind of birth defect has a very high rate in Malaysia, in China, in Japan, and in USA. And for this paper, we have already submitted to the US Nature, and we hope that the study will be disclosed at the end of this year. So, the possible harmful effects of the unabsorbed folic acid on the human body will take around 20 years to manifest, while magnafolate can correct it. So its trends, at least in the field of the birth defect and folate health, it's necessary to use the magnafolate to replace the folic acid. Let's have a quick summary between the magnafolate and the folic acid. First is regarding the safety. Folic acid is LD50 is 500 microgram per kg. For magnafolate, it's non-toxic, and the max tolerance dosage is higher than 50 grams per kg. Regarding the impact on the vitamin B12, folic acid will mask the B12 deficiency, and this will easily lead to the damage on the nervous system. It means that if anybody intakes the folic acid, the doctor cannot find that he is suffering from the vitamin B12 deficiency. While magnafolate will not mask B12 deficiency. Cross blood-brain barrier, folic acid cannot, while magnafolate can cross the blood-brain barrier. Because this, so magnafolate has some extra good function, good benefits, such as it's good for the brain health, it's good for the mood health. This is the also where is folic acid is absorbed by our body. It's by the liver. You know that the liver has a limited ability to absorb some ingredients, while magnafolate is absorbed in the intestine. Regarding the pathway, and folic acid need a 4-step, and then from the folic acid transfer into the methylfolate. For magnafolate, it can be absorbed by our body directly. For the MTHF mutations, folic acid is ineffective to the 30% people who are the MTHF gene mutations, while magnafolate is effective to all kinds of people, including the MTHF. Regarding the source, folic acid is very easy to get, and magnafolate is also very easy to get because Jinkang has already working in this field for more than 14 years, and we have a very mature production process, and also very good the production capacity. For the chemical stability, folic acid is very stable, and magnafolate is the C crystalline, and it can be stable very well. And actually, for the methylfolate, it's very unstable and is sensitive to the water. But by making it into the C crystalline, magnafolate can be very stable. And I will share more information regarding the good stability of the magnafolate in next presentation. Here's some the allergic reaction. Actually, there are many kinds of side effect report regarding the folic acid already, and we can find a lot from the websites from Google. Anyway, for the magnafolate, it's have nothing allergic reaction because magnafolate is the same folate form in our serum, so it's the totally safe and have nothing side effect for our body. Oxidation resistance. Folic acid is nothing, but magnafolate has a very good oxidation resistance. All right, so above I have already shared regarding the magnafolate between the folic acid and why we need to use the magnafolate to replace the folic acid. So next, I would love to share the good property of regarding the magnafolate compared to some marketed methylfolate and the competitive products from other suppliers. Firstly, maybe you will be very interested to know that how about the stability, because magnafolate is the unique C crystalline and is the cutting edge technology to make the methylfolate be stable. We can have a look that this is a study, stability study we have already done in the second Zoom. And after 3 years, 36 months, the purity is still the same. And so here is 3 years stability data to support, and it has the longest shelf-life compared to other methylfolates. Also, we have already finished the 2 years stability study at the fourth Zoom, and the result is very good. Also, the study is still going on, and maybe next year we can get the 3 years data. Maybe you will be curious to know, so how about the generic, the amorphous type methylfolate calcium salts? We have already done 2 kinds of study. The number one is keep at the 2 at temperature, and from the second day, the purity has already decreased, and at the 10th day, the purity is already decreased to 97.5, and after 1 month, it's already decreased to the 94.8. And we also do another stability study for the amorphous type. It's under the room temperature, and it decreased almost 10% after 1 month. Okay, this comparison between the magnafolate and the C crystalline, we test them at the room temperature for 60 days, and we test the purity. From the result, we find that both the magnafolate and the E crystal form have the very good stability. Secondly, magnafolate has the improved bioavailability. Here's the study we did compared to two kinds of brand marketing in the market. One is this is the magnafolate, and the peak concentration of the methylfolate is improved to 100, and for the A brand, it's the on the market, it increased around 147, and for the B brand, it's around increase 165. So magnafolate has a higher bioavailability than another two kinds of brands in the market. And for magnafolate, it take around 1 hour to reach the peak contraction of the folate. And for the A brand, it's reach around 1 hour. Also, the B brand is 0.5 hour. So here's the from the study after wrong dosing of magnafolate A and magnafolate A brand and B brand at the 0 points at this contraction for the rats, and the mean Cmax is 268, 253, and 274. And compared to the magnafolate, the relative bioavailability of the A brand and the B brand is 85.9% and 91%. The third advantages of the magnafolate is that magnafolate is the purest methylfolate, and we use the most advanced production process. Why it's the purest? Number one is that the purity can up to 99% to 0.8%. So the total impurity we can always control within less than 1%. Secondly, we will avoid using the toxic raw material. For example, the formaldehyde. Thirdly, we will control all the potential risky impurity into the smallest cell. Such as the mercury is 0.1 ppm, is 15 times less than the USP standard. And for the L-5-Methyltetrahydrofolate, we can choose less than 0.1 and is 10 times less than the USP standard. Okay, so this is the three outstanding advantages of the magnafolate, and it's firstly it's the most stable, and compared to the amorphous type, and it's very stable. Also, it has the similar stability as the E crystal form. Secondly, magnafolate has improved bioavailability compared to the two brands marketed products in the market. And thirdly, magnafolate is the purest methylfolate. Magnafolate is, it's the smallest building blocks in our body, and it can protect our full life cycle. Firstly, this is also most people are using that from the 400 microgram to the 800 microgram. It's used for the prenatal and infertility field. Secondly, this is for that magnafolate can decrease the HCY, and by using the 800 micrograms, and it would be housed for the middle age and the elder people's, good for their heart and blood health. It has a very popular used in Chinese markets to decrease the HCY. And magnafolate is the form of methylfolate, and it can cross the brain barrier directly, and so it can use for the brain health, and it could improve the cognition by the dosage of 800 microgram to the 1 mg. We also have some customers who are using the magnafolate in the mood health for the depression application, and the dosage would be 7.5 microgram and 50 microgram. Okay, thank you so much for your listening, and Justin, it's your part.
Thank you, Lily, for the great presentation. So now we continue with the Q&A sections. So the first question for today, how it is in terms of efficacy as compared to glucosamine salt? As we know, magnafolate is based on calcium salt.
Yes, metafolate is the one crystal form, E crystal form, and the magnafolate is the C crystal form. The main difference between them is the crystal form is different, and also they have a difference in the particle size distribution. Magnafolate would has more narrow particle size distribution, and so you can find that it can has improved the bioavailability compared to the metabolic.
Okay, thank you. So magnafolate have a different particle size than glucosamine, and it have a better bioavailability for this.
Yes.
For the answer. And then second question is magnafolate stable in liquid or ready to drink products? Is application questions.
Well, it's a good question, but shared that the methylfolate is very sensitive to the water, so it's not available to use in the drink product.
Okay. And then we have one question from Joy. Does magnafolate, GRAS, and EFSA approve?
Yes, Magnafolate has already been approved by the GRAS in 2016. And yes, the European EFSA has already approved the Magnafolate as the folate source used in the dietary supplements.
Okay. Okay, we got one more question here. Do you think we can position magnafolate in cognitive health? If yes, could you suggest ingredients that have synergistic effect with magnafolate?
Yes, sure. As shared in the presentation, if the dosage around 800 microgram can be used to for the brain health, and it can improve the communication. So it's a very good application, and it's popular used by many kinds of our customers from the USA and from UP.
What would be the ingredient? You can suggest some ingredient that have synergistic effect with Magnafolate.
Well, actually, we have some customers from the USA, and they are such as the Methyltetrahydrofolate, and this is from the US, and this Ocufolin, and this is from the Swiss. Both they are using the Magnafolate in their formulation.
Okay. And then, is there any marketed product targeted for pregnant women? Can you please share a few examples of products?
Yes, I think we can share after the webinar, and we can share more information regarding our brands, the brands who are using our products.
Okay, I'll follow up with this email, sending them relevant products.
Yes.
Okay, and then because of the time limitation, we are afraid this will be the last question for today. Magnafolate passed Malaysia regulation. Can it be used in supplement or drug in Malaysia? What is the maximum dosage?
In Malaysia, regulatory is being approved, and it can be used for the dietary supplements, and the limit dosage is less than 1 microgram, I think. I'm not sure, because maybe you can share more information. Yes.
Okay. So we have reached the end of today's section. So Lily, do you have anything to share before I end today's webinar?
Well, I think, okay, I don't have any more information.
Okay, thank you so much for your great presentation just now, introducing Magnafolate to Malaysia. And it is definitely a great product to consume. And I'm excited to see Magnafolate products in Malaysia very soon. So once again, thank you everyone for your participation. If you have any further question, please do not hesitate to contact Membra, and we're happy to assist you. Thank you everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.